Yeah, maybe I should start with a small preface. I came quite late to share this story because um, I consider the stories of my grandparents, of course, much more worth to be shared, and my own experiences are not as profound or not as far-reaching as they were. Um, Only just to mention it that the family of my grandmother, uh, they were six brothers and two sisters, and all of her brothers and her husband and the husband of her sister all were in work camps, labor camps, and of the Stalin era, and only just this one family had spent in total 74 years in labor camps, and some three were not have not survived it. So these are the stories that I have grown up with. So my are much smaller. uh, my stories. Yeah, I was a student back then in the 70s in Estonia, and um, I have grown up with the heritage from my grandparents' parents. If the KGB tries to get you to work as a spy, don't give them a single finger, otherwise they get you all. And
Could you explain what the KGB is? Give a
KGB
little
is the
context.
secret police of the Soviet Union at that time. And so in my second year of my studies, I was studying as in an engineering university for computer engineering. Um, the, um, they one day asked me to come into their office, or in one of the offices at the university, and there was this KGB officer. He was very polite and was just chatting a little bit, nothing saying really. But he asked me whether I would be ready not to tell to anybody about this, this meeting. And I was 17, no, 18. By that 18, I just said, okay, I don't have to talk about this. And then, he said, you know, he didn't ask just to work with them. It was just maybe we can sometimes meet and so. And it was a nice talk. But then, in a second, maybe a month later or so, I was again asked to come by, and then I sensed none. He wants to get me to work kind of. I was active, involved in youth work. We had some contacts to the underground church, though I was in an official registered church participating in worship. And uh, and then we met the third time just walking in a park, and there I was already decided. I had decided in advance I will say no, and I will not work, and I will not meet with him, and not collaborate, and so on. And yeah, he was upset and said, uh, why I don't want to collaborate, and I should think about my future, because if I refuse to collaborate, it could, have some consequences and for me, for my parents, for my sisters, why I don't think about them, and so on. And but I said I will not do it, and I will not keep anymore my promise not to talk to somebody, and this was very upsetting for him as well. But I was firm, and so he said, okay, then I have to bear the consequences. And so we departed. And then for about a year, I had yeah, nothing heard about it. It was just gone. Though I sometimes sense that they are somehow they're observing. There were small signs of this. I was involved a little bit in Bible smuggling, and sometimes it was kind of, yeah, interesting what happened. And then in the fourth year of my studies, and it was unusual, or actually a wonder that I was quite active, involved in the church, and was not part of the Communist Youth League, and could still study at the university. Was probably possible only in Estonia, not in other parts of the Soviet Union. And in the fourth year, I was participating in November at a youth camp, a youth meeting on a long weekend. We had this October celebration of the Revolution Day. On a long weekend, we had a secret youth meeting in southern part of Estonia, and I just attended it. I think I prayed in the beginning of this meeting, read just the passage, and prayed. Otherwise, I didn't, really do something in the program of this meeting. But 2 weeks later, also about the 20th of November or so it was, and I was. Because I was studying at the engineering school, I was exempt from the draft to the military for the time, but we had to attend in that fourth year 1 day in a week at a military base for kind of a military training as a student. And we arrived in the morning there, and was, like military do. Everybody stand in a row and so. And there the officer said, called my name. I stood for, and I should go to the colonel's office, the dean of this military, faculty or a department. And it was kind of why I should go there just in the morning, 8 o'clock. And then I went, and there were 2 KGB officers sitting. The one that was approaching me in the past, and another one. He was older, he was an Estonian. Later I heard his name and knew that, got to know that he was responsible for churches, and so some people had contacts with him as well. And and so they were just asking just away about this meeting in southern Estonia, and it was a very hard. They were sitting just one across, the other on the side, and one was talking, then the other was talking. They were, experienced officers, and I was 21 or so, quite, And I was just trying to sit on my hands so that they were not, so that they could not recognize that I'm trembling or so. And so this meeting went just for 8 hours. And it was, through the whole day. Also we started at 8, and short before 4 p.m. then they said okay. And particularly this older officer was very acquainted with the Bible. He was always, quoting the Bible verses, trying kind of convince me that I should comply and tell about something. They were asking about different people, about a printing press in the underground church, and so I didn't really know much about this, but this was one of our tactics. You never asked if somebody brought to you Bibles, and you never tell and never ask where they are going, so that you don't know it. But they were questioning all kinds of, also asking all kinds of things, and actually trying to persuade me to work with them. And I was basically for 8 hours repeating to say, I will not tell, I will not say, I will not work, and so forth and so forth. And then they sometimes threatened, sometimes they said, they made some promises that after I complete the study, I will get a good job and so on. And then as the time went by and I refused, they said, okay, I have to bear then the consequences of my stubbornness and not willing to work with them. And so I left, and a few weeks, maybe a month later, the dean of our university, of our department, approached me or called me in his office and said, he is not supposed to tell me this, but he got an order to expel me from the university. I asked where does the order come from, but he said, don't ask much questions, and I knew who is behind this. And he asked me whether I would like to take to apply for how you say it. It is not excommunicate, but exmatriculate myself from the university. You say it? To withdraw, then I would have the chance to apply maybe to some other university and somehow continue my study. But if they expel me, then this chance would be gone. And I was ready, for I was in my 7th semester and so, and there were a lot of issues if I would if I would withdraw or now discontinue to be a student, they would just draft me into the military, and then I would have to decide what I will do, whether some of my friends refused to take the oath or refused to take arms and had very different, experienced very different, stories. Some went well with this, others had a very, very hard time. And the additional point was we were at that time, it was also mid-67, 1967, were already applying to go to immigrate to Germany, and if I would go to the military, then all of this would automatically, mean that you have to stay there some more years, or maybe only the parents could move without me, or so whatever. And so I said to the dean, I'm glad, I'm thankful that he is, talking to me, but I will not go voluntarily. And I had good grades, and usually it went that you just didn't pass the exams, and so there was nothing special about this, but you didn't pass the exams, and then you have to go. And he tried to persuade me a little bit, but he didn't really pressure. He just gave some arguments. But then he said, okay, he will see what he can do. I asked him whether I could, go to the Department of Higher Education and to talk there, or to the president of the university, but he said, okay, keep quiet and not do anything. So I went then, and he said he will see what he can do. I should come a week later to his office again. Meantime, I went home, my hometown. My family lived about 160 kilometers away. On this weekend, we prayed. We were fasting with the family of my uncle and the brother of my father and our family. Just asking that God leads. We were not necessarily praying that I should continue to study, but somehow that God leads through this situation. And the next Thursday I went in the afternoon to this dean, and he just said, "Okay, forget what we were talking about. Everything is okay." It was unbelievable. I asked him, "Now, should I just continue and prepare for the exams that were coming up?" Yeah, just there's nothing happened. Just continue. And so I was continuing my studies, and it was quite yeah. Actually, an exemption in the Soviet Union. I know of, even from people from my family, that some relatives, they just went only once to a service and were, you know, thrown out from studies, and I was now studying for years already. And no, yeah, and so it was then quiet, nothing happened, and yeah, next year we got the permission to immigrate to Germany. I do not know who made the decisions, to whom he was talking, who is really behind of this. Somehow is God behind, but
And
so it were not really, you know, not really sufferings, but the story of God's help.